Blessed day, guys, and peace be upon you this morning. So in this video, we're going to learn how to configure inter-VLAN routing plus DHCP server on a multi-layer switch or a layer 3 switch. So we're going to use this smart layer switch to do inter-VLAN routing and to act as our DHCP server in this network to provide IT department, HR department, and finance department dynamic IP address allocation. All right. Okay. So I'll open our Google spreadsheet. I'll let you know that today we're doing part 2 of the inter-VLAN routing plus DHCP server configuration using multi-layer switch or a layer 3 switch. Okay. All right. So without any further ado, I'll open our our notepad to highlight the steps that we're going to follow to achieve the objective. The first step is always the drawing the necessary topology, decorating, and doing comments. So you can see I do this topology using various components. The first component is the multi-layer switch. I used 3650 multi-layer switch. Make sure you choose 3650 multi-layer switch. Then if we move down, I chose 2960 access layer switches. Okay, then the normal computers, and I did comments here. This one is inter-VLAN routing plus DHCP. Here is IT department. Okay, that's our IT department. The network is there plus the VLAN. HR department, network, VLAN. Finally, finance department, network, and VLAN. So let's go to the second step. That's done. Configure VLANs, name them, assign ports, and configure trunk ports between the switches. So in every switch here, we're going to configure VLAN as per the comments here. So for example, in this switch here, it's going to belong to VLAN 10. Here, VLAN 20. Here, VLAN 30. Okay? And we've been told also to configure trunk between the switches. So any link connecting switch to switch will be trunk. So in my topology, you can see this is FA0/1, FA0/1, and FA0/1. So FA0/1 on all these switches should be trunk. But from FA0/2 to 24 will be access port with VLAN 10, with VLAN 20, or with VLAN 30. Okay, so let's begin that. I'll go to this switch and say enable config T. Okay, then let's create VLAN. We've been told the second step is to create VLANs, name them, and assign ports. So let's say VLAN 10 we name as IT. We exit. Then we assign the VLAN ID to ports. So interface range FA0/2 to 24, because FA0/1 should be our trunk. Now from FA0/2 to 24, we'll be accessing VLAN 10. Okay, so let's say switch mode access. Let them be access first. Then switch mode access VLAN 10. Exit. Then here configure trunk between the switches. So our FA0/1 should be our trunk. Okay, so interface FA0/1 switchport mode, just say switchport mode trunk. That's all. So we do the same configuration in all the switches, the 2 remaining switches, the same configuration. What will change, just the VLAN numbers. Okay, all right, so I'll do it very fast, save time. Okay guys, so I've done the part 2 of the guide, how to we configure VLANs, naming them, and assigning ports to the VLAN IDs. Okay, and also configuring trunks between the switches. But we've not done for the multi-layer switch here. We have to do the same for the multi-layer switch here. Okay, remember we've configured an individual switch with the respective VLAN. So all those VLANs should be configured here also VLAN 10, VLAN 20, and VLAN 30. Okay, we have to configure all the VLANs here also. Okay, so the first step, guys, you can see the 3650 multilayer switch is always powered off, so we have to power it on. How do we power it on? Just click on it, then drag this AC power supply and put it into that empty slot, just closed. Give it like 10 minutes until you see the links turn to orange, then you click it again. Okay, all right, so you have to power it on first before you start configuration. Okay, just click on it again, come to CLI and say no. Remember, we're still on number 2. Configure VLANs, name them, assign to ports, and configure trunks between the switches. So on the multilayer switch, we are only not going to do this one, but we have to configure all the VLANs in the network. We have to name them and we have to configure trunks. So let's just go here and say enable config T, then VLAN 10, name IT, then we come to VLAN 20, name HR, then we come to VLAN 30 and name finance, fin, exit. Then the final part, configure trunks between the switches. Okay, on the multilayer switch, we are not going to assign them to VLAN to ports. Okay, we're only going to configure trunks. Okay, all right, so let's identify trunk ports. Trunk ports will be this one, gig 0 gig, gig 102, gig 103, and gig 104. So from gig 102 to gig 104 should be trunk ports. So just say interface range gig 1/0/2 to 4. Okay, switch port mode to be trunk, and you hit enter, exit, and do right. So we're done with number 2. Okay, so let's go to step number 3. Step number 3 is to enable IP routing on the multilayer switch. Remember, we want this multilayer switch to act as both the switch and the router. By default, is always the switch, so you have to make it act like a switch and a router. By enabling routing, you just click on it and just write this command, IP routing, to enable routing on that multilayer switch. That's all. If you don't do this one, it will never work as a router. Good. So let's go to the 4th step. The first step is to create SVIs on the multilayer switch as per the respective VLAN IT and assign the IP addresses. So what are SVIs? SVIs are switch virtual interfaces. So switch virtual interfaces are like, we created how many VLANs here? VLAN 10, VLAN 20, and VLAN 30. So SVI will be interface of VLAN 10, interface of VLAN 30, or interface of VLAN 10. So let's create SVIs as per the VLAN ID. So we just say interface VLAN 10. Okay, and we hit enter. Right, then we assign it IP address. So the IP address should be the first IP address in this subnet IT department. Okay, just say IP add to be 192.168.1.1, subnet mask of 255 or 255.255.0, and you hit enter. That's all. We've created a SVI for IT department and added its IP address. Okay, exit. So let's do for HR department, which is VLAN 20. Okay, then we give it a IP address of 2.1, and the SVS should act as the default gateway of each respective department. Okay, and finally VLAN 30, 3.1. This is now inter-VLAN routing part. Do right. So we have done that part is for inter-VLAN routing, and we are done doing inter-VLAN routing on that multilayer switch. So let's move to DHCP. We are going to create pools, assign network addresses, default gateway, and DNS. So the default gateway should be the IP address of the SVS that we just created. Okay, all right. So let's create pools for DHCP. The first thing that you should always do when you're configuring DHCP, make sure you enable that service. Just say service DHCP and you hit enter. Now start creating pools. IP DHCP pool for, let's say, IT department. IT pool. Okay, and assign the network of 192.168.1.0. I think I made a mistake here. The networks were like 10 dot something, but I used 1.2.3 dot. It should be 10 dot, 20 dot, or 30 dot, but no problem. Let's just go there. We can edit here easily than in the configuration. Okay, all right. So started mask of 255.255.255.0. okay, and hit enter. Then default router should be the IP address, the SVI that we created for VLAN 10. It was 192.168.1.1. Then we assign that DNS to be the same as default gateway as per now. Okay, exit. So before I go to HR pool, I'll just go here and modify this as 1 dot something, not 10 dot something. This one also like 2 dot something, not 20 dot something, and here also 3 dot something, not 30 dot something. Okay, all right. So let's proceed to create a pool for HR. So I just try to retrieve yes. So just say HR pool, HR. Then the network should be 2 dot something. Default router should be the IP address with the SVI for VLAN 20, which was 2.1. Before, DNS now will remain as default router as per now. And finally, let's go to finance pool. The network was 3 dot something. Default router should be 3 dot something, 3.1, and DNS to be like the same as default router. Exit and do right. So when you come back here and we say exclude the ranges of IP address that should not be assigned to host dynamically. So let's exclude. Just say IP DHCP excluded address to be, let's exclude first for IT department, which is 192.168.1.1.2, 192.168.1.10. So we don't want the DHCP server to assign host in IT department IP addresses from 1 to 10. Okay, so the same should apply for HR department. HR department should now be 2 dot something, 2 here 2. Now finally finance. And do right. Okay. So number 7, go to every PC and change the option to DHCP test communication. So we are going to every PC here and change the option to DHCP. So let's go to static first and change it to DHCP. It should pick IP address from .11 because from 1 to 10 was excluded. Okay, all right. So DHCP is successful. When I come back here, it should take 2 dot something. I turn it back to static, then DHCP first. So that's successful. Then we go finally to finance department. Come to IP configuration. Wait until it gets 3 dot something. Yeah, well, that's good. So let's go here and try to ping. Let's go here and try to ping 192.168.3.11. So it will ping because we've enabled inter-VLAN routing. They belong to different VLANs, so they should be able to communicate. Even if I try to ping 2.11, it will be able to communicate because DHCP and inter-VLAN routing are working perfectly fine. So thank you so much, guys. I'll come back to our Google spreadsheet and mark number 6 as done. So when we meet next, we will do the configuration of DHCP server, DNS, web, email, FTP servers. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel, share with friends, like this video, and drop a comment below. Thank you so much, and let's see you again in the next class. Bye.